All right, folks. So I'm so fortunately lucky to be here with my dear friend Anthony, and Anthony and I go back a number of years, and we both share a passion for the Ronald McDonald House and all that's been, and we've served there for a long time. And Anthony's far more involved than we are. He actually works down there, and many of you know him as part of New Church Live. So Anthony, I'd love for you to just take a quick chance to introduce yourself to the folks who are watching this video.
Well, thank you very much, Chuck. And again, I want to start off with thanking the New Church Live family and community for thinking of the Philadelphia Ronald McDonald House and giving me this opportunity to share how we're doing during this corona pandemic. My name is Anthony Stover. I am the Community Relations Manager with the Philadelphia Ronald McDonald House. I've been with the Philadelphia Ronald McDonald House for 22 years. Have been working with New Church Live in their support in so many ways with the Philadelphia Ronald McDonald House for the last 10 years. And that's who I am.
There you go. So Anthony, could you start out just by saying, how are things going down at the Ronald McDonald House? Like what's kind of shifted and changed, and how do you see the mission continuing on down there, given all these current challenges that we're facing?
Well, Chuck, as you're familiar with our mission of creating a community of comfort and hope for families of seriously ill children, as we are all in the grips of this horrific corona pandemic, it is double the effect on families that are dealing with seriously ill children. And the Philadelphia Ronald McDonald House is applying to all state regulations and providing safety for not only our guests as well as our staff and our volunteers, which is the backbone of what we do, is our volunteers. And that being said, we are no longer accepting new families into the Ronald McDonald House. Now, we are still working ways, because cancer just is not concerned with the coronavirus.
Right. So important.
That is so important. Yes. And so we are still working on ways to get our families into hotels and other accommodations for their living. Families that were already at the house are still with us. We are still providing all the comforts of home in regards to meals, a place to sleep, education for the children, and our social workers in bringing any type of comfort and hope as these families are still dealing with that. Now we're doing that with a very skeleton crew. As you can see, I am working from my home, which about 90% of us are. The only thing that's at the house with the families now are, we have social workers, we have a couple social workers, we have a house manager, and we also have our facilities guy, and we have our chef in the kitchen making sure that the families have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And of course, we're not serving that in a buffet style any longer. They put together individual packages where the families can grab them anytime that they want. And we're using Uber and Lyft. We don't have volunteers, so we don't have van drivers to get the families back and forth to the hospital. And Chuck, you know that another service that we offered to families was we had a set-alone kitchen to where they could cook their own meals when they, because the families come from all over the world. It's just different dietary needs. So for families that want to cook their own meal, what they do is that they put together a grocery list, and I will come to the house, go to the grocery store, pick up their groceries, and bring it back to the house so they can have that. And that is at no cost to the families. And everything, as I said, with volunteers being the heartbeat of the Ronald McDonald House, the food, the groceries, everything is still donated. So again, we continue our mission. And when things are safe, and we know that our staff, our volunteers, as well as the families can start coming back in the house, we look to continue that and, welcome friends back like New Church Live.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, I can't wait to get back, I think about these families and I think how hard this must be. And like you said, it's easy for us to think about the virus as we should be, but those same needs, like what you said, I think is really true, is cancer doesn't care whether COVID-19 is raging or not. Like those medical needs that you're dealing with are still there and still present. And is there something in particular, and they like I guess I want to ask two questions along those lines. First one is, what do you think most families are struggling with sick children right now? Like what's their biggest worry, just so we can kind of hold that prayerfully, in our hearts and in our minds.
I think their biggest worry right now is still what got them here, that child, the welfare of the child, the happiness of that child, their child having the opportunity to be a child. And then the second thing would be what's currently going on that has a grip on the whole world in regards to the pandemic. But I think first and foremost, everything else is blocked out. They're
Yeah.
not concerned about the pandemic. They're not concerned about anything. I think they find comfort that they're in the Ronald McDonald House, being able to get to the hospital, and their biggest concern is the welfare of their child.
Yeah, yeah, that's beautifully said, and that's so true, right? We go through that emergency feeling, and it's like that becomes the focus, and there's something really beautiful in that. And what are you seeing kind of these days, Anthony? That's like where you just look at it, and you're like, yep, that's courage, that's hope, that's meaning. Like, where are you seeing? Sorry, where are you seeing that, like that courage, that hope, that meaning?
You- Chuck, there, we as human beings in God's creation are very beautiful people, and that is comes to light in times like this. And some of the things we're seeing our volunteers making masks for the house. We're seeing staff members that are working from home, sending pizzas and lunch to the staff that have to be there. We're seeing our friends provide food and donations, still safe drop-offs to the house. During these economic times where everything is different, and like I said, this pandemic has a grip on everyone.
Yeah.
We still see the 7-year-old giving us the pennies from his piggy bank, and all these things, Chuck, just show the beauty of I can't, but we can. And we're seeing that firsthand, as in you reaching out to me, wanting to know what's going on with the Philadelphia Ronald McDonald House, friend.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Anthony. I love that idea. I can't, and we can, and that piece of, like, we've been talking a lot about the third way. And the third way is not interested in blame or any of those things. The third way is interested in how do we figure out a way forward,
Mhm.
as best we can, stepping up in the ways that we're called to. And for you, Anthony, personally, like, what do you find these days? What are you finding these days in terms of what's giving you courage and hope and perspective at a personal level? What are you finding?
Well, Chuck, as always, I'm going to be 100% honest and share with you. There are moments where I have anxieties and I have fears and maybe a little depression but I get out of that space. That's a dark space, and I'm not comfortable in that space. Where I find my comfort is an attitude of gratitude and thanksgiving, and just staying God centered. Calling my neighbors and doing the right things. I still I go to bed at night at the same time. I say my prayers. I wake up in the morning. I thank God for waking me up at the same time. I take walks with my dog, and I check on my neighbors. I call friends, and all these things help me sustain that gratitude, that thanksgiving, and that knowing that God is in control. One of the things I always relate to, that because again, we are not alone. This is gripping the whole world, and I think you might remember when we were kids and we used to sing that spiritual hymn. he's got the whole wide world in his hands. And I keep, I sing that, I find myself singing that song a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's what keeps me in an attitude of gratitude and thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way to put it. And I think, reflecting, like I think all of us, right? All of us get anxious, right? And so much of those anxieties tend to play out into a future we don't know for sure what, it's hard to know what tomorrow's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yet that God-centeredness really draws us back to the moment, like what's
Mm-hmm.
right here in front of me right now, and how can I serve right here?
Yes.
And that immediacy, I know really helps. And Anthony, you bring such a great spirit of that. Anthony, what's as a close, like if somebody watching this was interested in supporting Ronald McDonald House, what would be a way to support it right now? And you're welcome to say, like, look, we need donations. Like, what do you think is the way people can plug in if they're really feeling called these days?
Well, Chuck, again, everybody is in the grips of this pandemic and everybody is experiencing some suffering. And we understand that and we respect that. However, if there's a way that you have the means to support the Ronald McDonald House, you can go to our website, philrmh.org. There is a Amazon wish list there. If you want to give a monetary reward, or if you want to just send a thank you note to one of the families to stand there and just say, have a nice day, thinking of you, we love you. All those things, the little things are the big things. And again, in times like this, the little things are greatly appreciated. And those are ways that you can help. And I thank you, a heartfelt thank you from our families, from our volunteers, from our staff, for you thinking of the Ronald McDonald House, and again, allowing me to share this with the New Church Live family and your worldwide audience, friend.
Well, thank you so much, Anthony. We speaking on behalf of New Church Live. We love what you guys do. Yeah, I mean, I say this a lot, like there are a lot of things in life that I can't 100% guarantee, but doing any work with the Ronald McDonald House is 100% guarantee that you're going to come out of that feeling a very special way, because the people there are incredible. And as you know, like the families are amazing. And then you get these superstar kids, have it even one step above. So anyways, so thank you so much, Anthony. Again, just really appreciate you taking time to chat with us here. And we're just wishing the very best and keeping you guys in our prayers.
Well, Chuck, I look forward to seeing you in person at the New Life Church on Sunday mornings at 10:30, and when the time is right to do that. But in the meantime, I will look for you on Zoom. And again, a heartfelt thank you for your continued support, friend.
No problem. Take care.